I'm going to talk about history of HIV in Pakistan. So the first cases of HIV were noted in the late 1980s, and these were seen in people who were returning from the Gulf countries. So repatriated migrant workers were the first ones who brought HIV to Pakistan. In response to the influx of these cases, National AIDS Control Program was launched in 1986 to 87. And since then, we've had a sort of non-continuous surveillance. And this has indicated that HIV prevalence was high in certain populations in Pakistan. And gradually, since the late 1980s till now, Pakistan has moved from low prevalence, high risk country to a concentrated epidemic, which means that the prevalence is more than 5% in certain key populations. According to estimates in 2016 to 2017, 38.4% cases were found in people who inject drugs, 7.2% in transgenders, 5.6% among men who have sex with men. So what kind of mindset do we have? So we are in a state of continuous denial, and whenever we discover HIV cases in any part of Pakistan, we call it an outbreak. So, and behave as if this is rather sudden or unexpected occurrence of a disease which we do not expect to see in our population. So we have been seeing clusters of cases here and there, and it is plausible that HIV is endemic in parts of Pakistan, which have been labeled as hotspots in publications, and that at the moment it is actively spreading to many different parts of the country. So this map here shows you 3 hotspots which have been identified from the year 2000 onwards. So there have been 7 notable outbreaks, 3 in Sindh, 4 in Punjab, and 4 have been identified since 2016. So there is 1 hotspot in Gujarat and adjacent areas, 1 in Sargodha and adjacent areas, and 3rd one is in Larkana. This is just a timeline of different outbreaks which has been published. So starting off from first major outbreak in 2003 in Larkana, where 175 people were screened. This was followed by another one in Gujarat, Punjab, where both adults and children were found to be positive. This was in 2008. Then again in Larkana in 2016. This was in dialysis patients, and in the same year, another outbreak was identified in Chiniot, Punjab. Then in 2018, again 2 outbreaks were described, one in Sargodha, another one in Dera Ghazi Khan. And then from 2019 onwards, there have been a few more outbreaks, one in Sargodha, the other notable one in Ratodero, and so on. So since the inception of the National AIDS Control Program and subsequent devolution of health, according to the 18th Amendment, there is an absolute need to take stock of HIV funding and where and how it was spent. So there has been a clear failure in containment, and the common factors are being identified repeatedly. The factors which lead to these outbreaks have been identified repeatedly, and they're similar in most of the outbreaks. It has been noted in one survey that approximately 38% GPs reuse syringes, and iatrogenic transmission from unsafe practices and poor infection prevention and control have been identified as primary or contributing risk vectors in 5 out of 7 major outbreaks. First one in Jalalpur Jatta in 2008, then Larkana, then in other parts of Pakistan. Since 2019, 3 outbreaks have been reported, a large one in Ratodero, another one in Sargodha, and another one in Faisalabad. And the one in Faisalabad was in people who inject drugs. The other 2 were because of poor IPC practices. So let's take a look briefly at these prominent outbreaks. The first one from Jalalpur Jatta, this was in 2008, when an NGO arranged 2 voluntary HIV screening camps when they observed rising number of HIV cases. And in this outbreak, it was found 246 persons were screened, and unsafe injections were found to be responsible in 96% of cases. dental procedures in 40%, barbershop visits in 72%. These were the most common risk factors. Additionally, extramarital sex was reported by nearly 10% of individuals, and nearly 4% had admitted to paid sex. In Gujarat district, infection has been believed to be endemic for over a decade, silently, and the transmission has continued to adjacent areas. So although forgotten and not news anymore, the next generation of affectees are still presenting with AIDS to different physicians. So unlike other studies from Pakistan, a high proportion of cases in Jalalpur Jatta were in females and children less than 10 years of age. And at that point in time, it was observed that the shift is taking place from high-risk groups to general population. Phylogenetic analysis was also carried out, and it revealed that the infection, the HIV belonged, the strain belonged to subtype A, and this transmission has been taking place for over a decade, and the situation was in fact endemic rather than an outbreak. So looking at this map of Sargodha and adjacent areas, Sargodha is considered to be a hotspot of HIV infection. And again, this is related with malpractice by quacks. This has been identified as a major factor. Then we move to Larkana. Now, Larkana has been a hub of HIV, and there have been many outbreaks in Larkana since 2003. So in 2008, results of round 3 of National Surveillance Program showed that nearly 28% Hijra sex workers were HIV positive in Larkana. Since 2005, IV drug users have been driving the epidemic in Larkana, and multiple surveillance rounds have shown a lower prevalence of HIV among commercial sex workers compared to IDUs. And this was especially true for Larkana. So HIV positive IDUs had more than 2 commercial sexual encounters as well. So this was not just spreading in isolation in just IDUs, but because of their encounters with the professional sex workers, this started spreading in the sex workers as well. For Larkana, it has been said that a small town of over 500,000 population has surpassed a large metropolis like Karachi of almost 20 million persons in risky practices. So this is an unusual town with an unusual pattern of multiple commercial sex activities happening there. So Larkana has a functioning brothel where clients from all over the district and from other cities visit sex workers in the daytime. Additionally, there are home-based sex workers as well, and there are at least 2 musafir khanas or motels right in the center of the city where Hijra and male sex workers are available round the clock. So the city had all the characteristics of an exploding HIV epidemic for the last 20 years, and this is not something new. So from 2004 onwards, it was observed in many different publications that Larkana might be at the brink of an HIV outbreak in low-risk groups. And concerned stakeholders must look into this pattern urgently and take prudent measures, such as improving quality, services, and more importantly, coverage of HIV prevention programs. So whatever has happened in Larkana has been happening for the last at least 20 years. Then we should take a look at the role of blood transfusion and transfusion services in HIV spread in Pakistan. So going back to 2014, this was reported in Dawn. At least 10 children between the ages of 5 and 16 already afflicted with thalassemia tested positive for HIV after allegedly receiving transfusion of infected blood. So in response to this news, in-depth investigations were carried out by Punjab AIDS Control Program along with National AIDS Control Program. And the investigation revealed insufficient evidence to support the reported epidemic. However, Punjab AIDS Control Program, with the support of donors, undertook an extensive screening of thalassemia children in the province. The results were not publicized, so we don't know what happened with that investigation. So the blood transfusion system has been said to be weak, fragmented, and mostly unregulated. This was the situation in the mid-2015 and up to 2015. With an estimated 2.8 million bags transfused in the country every year, with uncontrolled and unregulated screening for transfusion transmitted infections, the chances of spread of bloodborne infections are very high. This was 2014. In September 2016, an outbreak was identified at Civil Hospital Larkana in dialysis patients. And of all the screened dialysis patients, which were 205 in number, approximately 43 were HCV positive, 29% were HIV positive, and 20% were both HIV and HCV positive. So the question arose, was this spread related to poor or non-existent disinfection of equipment or hemodialysis machines, or was it due to transfusion of unscreened blood, or both? So amid these suspicions, investigation was launched, and actually the paramedics and dialysis unit workers were investigated as to why they were giving unscreened blood and what was going on at the dialysis center. And the health ministry was activated, and they went around talking to people. So the healthcare workers were probed. The Sindh Blood Transfusion Authority, it was suggested, should also be included in the investigation, with focus on its inability to monitor and take action against the blood banks involved in illegal business. This was from the health minister at that time of Sindh. And 4 illegal and ill-equipped blood banks and laboratories were sealed. Dialysis center was closed down, and patients were moved to other centers in different parts of the province. Actually, what happened was that there was no formal process of referral, and infected patients moved to other equally unequipped centers in the province. Many came to Karachi, but many of them ended up in other dialysis centers in poorer parts of Sindh. So the issue was resolved, and responsibility was fixed on the perpetrators, that is those who initiated the screening process in this case. The blood banks, which were sealed, reopened after a few days, and the practices continued. So in 2014, the then president of Pakistan affirmed his commitment to continue and increase efforts to respond to HIV in the country. So this was a political statement, and without a follow-up plan. So there have been 3 strategic plans, and what has been their focus? First, National Strategic Framework in 2001 culminated in establishment of first response called Enhanced HIV and AIDS Control Project, and this ended in 2008. Second framework focused on interventions in key population, and the third strategic framework from 2015 to 2020 focused on quality HIV treatment and care services. After devolution in 2011, the provinces mobilized their own resources, and they've been used mainly to prevent infection from establishing in key populations. At this point in time, in 2011, federal government released funds for the purpose to help provinces deal with this situation, but the funds were released to Punjab only. And major reliance was on global funds and UNAIDS grants. So the reasons for rise of HIV in Pakistan are known. Important questions are how to contain this epidemic, how to ensure quality services to those who are already infected. And it's time for action now. Actually, we are quite late because all our previous strategies have failed. Thank you very much.